rolling again.
Thanks, Robert.
Turn on there.
This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, it talks. That's horrifying.
That's interesting. It talks
really-
on my end and your end with different
I
voices.
don't enjoy that. That's kind of creepy. So I'm not gonna like inundate you with because here's the one thing that like kind of pisses me off about. I'm not gonna say pisses me off about Elephant Six. I'm not gonna inundate you with Neutral Milk Hotel questions.
I love Neutral Milk Hotel, and I was very happy to be in the band. So like,
Yeah,
you,
of course.
anything you want to talk about, I'm here to talk about. And
I have a
other
list
times
of-
too, just so you know.
Yeah, it's just an all-encompassing conversation.
That's right. That's right.
One of
I'm
my
here for anything you want to know about.
Of course. One of my questions was, how would you differentiate the apples and the apples in stereo?
Oh, well, okay, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. I think that I would, if that. Well, okay. So hang on just a moment. There's a few different ways of looking at it. When we started the band, we were the Apples.
Yeah.
And like, and I still, and we call ourselves the Apples, and we think of ourselves as the Apples. Like when we're a band and we talk about ourselves, we call ourselves the Apples.
Yeah, of course.
We are the Apples. When the Apples first started, we were like a super psychedelic, sort of like heavy grunge kind of like band.
Yeah, I
So,
love the
what
Tidal
would-
Wave EP. It was insane.
So like, thank you. Like, and in general, throughout our band's existence, we were a really loud band.
Mm-hmm.
But so when I think of the Apples compared to the Apples in stereo, I think you're talking about our early days when we were essentially a hardcore band.
In a way, yeah.
That's what I think that we're talking about. So like if you're talking about the Apples, you mean us, our band. But if you
Yeah.
mean the Apples versus the Apples in stereo, you're talking about when we were like a hardcore garage band.
Mm-hmm.
Versus hardcore / psych / garage / grunge.
Yeah,
compared to
there was a
when we
poppy
were
switch.
Yeah, and compared to when we went into being more of a psychedelic a band and a more indie pop.
Yeah.
So I think that I would differentiate between the earlier Apples where we were a fuzz pop band, and then when we became more of a psych pop band.
Yeah, I think I really...
Does that sound reasonable? If you were talking
No,
about the
that
names,
sounds
the name
right,
difference.
because...
That's how I think of the difference between the names.
It was
for
like
instance,
the
Jim
switch
McIntyre.
for me
Yeah.
between Funtrick and Wallpaper. Like, there was some... I don't know, I can't explain it. There was something there.
Yes,
I don't know.
that's true.
There's a lot of poppiness to it.
Yes, there is. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I think that's. But I want to tell you more about it.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about just stylistically. Like I think about the Apples as being like when Jim McIntyre was in the band. Jim was like a hardcore punk rocker, and like we and in fact Eric Allen is also a punk rocker who ended up joining on bass later. But like Jim was into hardcore, and like he brought like kind of like a certain hardcore kind of aesthetic to the band. And Hillary was also into hardcore, but like it was basically half the band was into hardcore at that period. And so like hardcore in the 1980s was like a really big influence on Elephant Six and on my friends. I think that when Elephant Six was starting, I think we probably thought of ourselves as being in the hardcore scene.
I
It's just
heard
that we
yeah,
weren't making
because-
hardcore punk music, but we were in that scene and its aesthetic and sort of our fashion aesthetic and our associations. I think were hardcore. That's what
You
we
can
thought
hear
of
that on
ourselves
early
as.
tapes for sure.
So like I think just so if you're getting a feeling for what we felt like we were hardcore kids.
It's like when I was tracking down. This is gonna sound really strange. When I was like tracking down some of the earlier tapes, one of the tapes that really resonated to me as like nearly being hardcore was Cranberry Mixdown, like the Cranberry Life Cycle album.
Oh yes.
I was
Definitely.
listening to Arms So Real, and it was like very hold it into Arms So Real, and then you just have
That's
and
right.
it's very differentiated from what we would eventually hear, like.
Yeah, it's a lot more punk.
You can't. Yeah, there's not really. I'm not gonna say there's not a comparison, but there's differentiation in there, and it's really cool. It's not seeing an evolution, but it's. I don't know how to explain that.
I'm happy that you listened to it and I'm also happy that you listened to it at your age because we were your age when we were making that music.
Yeah.
And we were making it for exactly only ourselves and other kids like us in our social circle, and you're in that social circle now. It's as if it's like was just made by some other kid that handed you the tape, and you had to find it. You had to like track it down because it's not released. So that's really cool.
Because I have a kind of unique perspective on it, I guess, because like
Tell me about
being in Athens and also being my age is like I'm experiencing Elephant Six from a weird perspective where it's kind of past its heyday, but also like I'm treating it how I originally saw it, like because I remember I was walking in Athens one time and it was way too hot. So I think I knocked on Kelly's door and I was like, oh my god, can I get something to drink like now? And then because it's like dying. And then I walked in and I saw all of like Will's art and stuff and all of this and I was like, holy shit. Like I was just
This is where I am.
I was completely taken aback and I was seeing all of the original demos and then once past then and I was tracking down all of the older demos and all of the tapes that were just half impossible to find because obviously nobody wants those leaking. And I remember like I was talking to her about I think Hype City Soundtrack and she was like, well, Jeff told me once the reason he doesn't want to release some of his older music is because it's like seeing a photo of yourself from high school where you're awkward and still kind of growing into yourself. And I was like, I guess that kind of makes sense, but there's a unique sense of wonder in the older Elephant Six tapes that is just, I mean, of course, I love listening.
I'm really glad you think that.
Stuff.
Thank you.
It's just, I love listening to the release stuff.
Well, I'll tell you, like I've released or posted online almost all of my old music that doesn't involve my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Just so like for instance on I think we texted about are we on archive.org?
Yeah. I have an iPod over here where I put all of my like retrievable Elephant Six demos. Because like it started with I want to say the Mr. Burton Says Hello stuff is what I put on the iPod, and then so yeah, it started with all of the older demos that I was able to track down. And because side one of the Cranberry Lifecycle demo, and then I was finding Mr. Burton Says Hello and all the old E6 demos, and I was like, I really don't want these to go away. Because like that was the period, like that was the end exclamation. What word am I looking for? Punctuation. That was the end punctuation to the 90s for me. And I was like, I kind of don't want that to go away, so I have this iPod sitting over here with all of the old
that's very beautiful. It's beautiful you have it on a retro iPod.
Yeah, well, because like I have all of these tapes over here that I copy them to, but the only issue with that is that I love recording to cassette because the degradation as you copy sounds really well.
Yeah,
awesome. Sounds really good.
Yeah,
but
so cool.
When I am getting these old demos off of the internet, it's going from the original cassette compressed to an MP3 and then transferred to a cassette, which is 3 more levels of degradation to the point where it's almost unlistenable.
Too much degradation.
Yeah, it gets unlistenable.
No, I totally agree. I think it's amazing that you're doing that. Doing that kind of like deep bootlegging is a big part of my soul and a big part of our friend scene. And when I think it's amazing to me that you're listening back to the music that we were recording when we were around your age, because like I said, for one thing, we were recording in a new style that we were kind of inventing. And like when you're talking about Mr. Burton Says Hello or like these early recordings, like that was something I recorded on a boombox in my bedroom with my friends.
Yeah, you're Daniel Johnston-ing it.
And and like I had discovered how to multi-track that way. And that song, I think, has a Casio drum machine on it, or maybe a Yamaha keyboard drum machine, and like it has a super sick fuzz tremolo guitar.
Yeah.
And like that was one of the best fuzz guitar sounds I ever got. At that era, I got when I was 15 to 16, I got like one of the best fuzz guitar sounds I've ever gotten. I've never been able to. Like I had this whole thing called the Barbecue Suite. That was like a 4-part suite. Look it up. It's on. I think it's on the archive.org.
I'll have to check that out.
And like it's very psychedelic. And like I think it's on the tape called Warm Milk and Chocolate. But in any event, it's very psychedelic, and like it's one of the songs has like the greatest lead fuzz guitar sound that I ever did. And like I was like 15 or something, and like I've never topped it, and like I'm jealous of myself.
Well, it's like I appreciate like hearing these recordings and knowing that like y'all didn't really use distortion in the sense of pedals. Y'all use distortion through because when I first started 4-tracking, it was this old hardcore band I was in called Issue 1, and I went over to this dude's studio, and he had this Tascam 424, and I was getting these very saturated fuzz tones out of it.
It's the
that
best
I was just
fuzz-
like, oh my god,
the
I'm
best
not
fuzz
getting this
sound.
out of digital.
Oh my god, dude! I have a friend named Hamish that I'm writing a book on home recording with right now.
Yeah.
And he invented a pedal that is that is the same circuitry as a 4-track.
Ooh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's really it's amazing. He's like an electronics, audio, and engineering genius, and so that's something that hopefully we'll be able to use soon.
Yeah, one of those, because one of my issues with, because people that are getting into 4-tracking now are getting into it at a bad time, because are you aware of the guitarist McGee?
No, I'm not actually, but I'd like to look them up.
Okay, so McGee is a guitarist who, like, in his recordings and stuff, he's getting all of his distortion not out of pedals, but out of a 424. And he's
got a
gotten
recording artist. He's a current recording artist.
He's just he's a guitarist. And
Like right now making stuff.
Currently, yes.
Cool, this is awesome. I'm gonna check him out. This sounds-
MK.GEE, McGee.
Okay, you know what? I have heard some students talking about him.
Yeah, the thing with him is that, like, because there's two good sides to it. One side is he's gotten huge, and the idea of getting your guitar distortion out of a 424 has gotten big, which is
Really?
awesome, because I know where he got that from. But on the other hand, he's gotten so popular that the price of 4-track recorders has shot.
No.
Like, it's insane. Like, go on eBay right now and just look up Tascam 424 Porta Studio and sort by, like, what a reasonable price for it is. They're like $600.
Whoa, dang. Well, okay then. Well, I mean, that can happen because there's not very many out there. Like,
There's not.
Like maybe like so like about 10, maybe it's 15 years ago now, I invented a mind-controlled synthesizer called the Teletron.
I'm getting to that. I got a full question
cool.
over it.
Oh, okay, cool. And like at that time, the Teletron was something you could build it from a Mattel Mindflex, which was a toy that you could get. And at that time, you could get the toy really cheaply on eBay. The toy had come and gone; it had gone through its cycle.
Yeah.
You could get it at Walmart for like $5 at cutout at that time, and on eBay it was pretty cheap. So I bought a bunch of them,
Oh.
all of them on eBay at the time. And like the price went up, not like a lot, but like it went up to like what it would have been new, used.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting at the time. I was like, okay, that's interesting. There's not that many things out there. You think, oh, eBay's infinite, you know, but really there's only
no.
16 of those things out there or something.
And I'm watching these 4-tracks get older and older, and luckily, like, I know
that's
how to
the
repair
thing.
them now. I know how to repair them, so I'm not worried about it, because, like, mine...
that's really good. Very
had
good.
like, its belt completely cooked itself. And then I text the only person that I knew in Elephant 6 at the time, which was Kelly. And I was like, hey, do you know anybody that can repair a 4-track for me? I need to, because I was like, yeah. Like, the only reason I was like, I know she'll know, because her husband was the one that does that. Because I remember
That's right,
walking in
exactly.
and I would see all of these. And she was
She
like,
would
yeah,
know.
I'm dude in Atlanta. So I was like trying to figure that out. And then I realized I could just do all these myself and just buy
You figured it
the
out?
parts. Yeah, they're really easy to do.
That's so awesome.
It's easy to get into.
That's great. I have a number of cassette decks that I want to fix, and I'm going to start a cassette lab because students are interested in tape. We have, at my school we have a large like a music school with it's a tech school, but we have a large music program with like audio engineering, and these are students who are often also like engineering students, so they really want to like learn about engineering on things like 424s.
Yeah.
And so like I have the ambition to have a lab where we can like work on and learn about tape machines. And I've accumulated way too many tape machines for that lab in advance
I'm
of
sure.
having it.
I'm sure. So, I'm not going to say moving away from that, but there are a few questions that ever since I got into this album, it has been plaguing my mind, and you're not going to believe what album it is. Yes, you are. It's In the Airplane Over the Sea. This is my set of questions over Airplane. So Airplane really heavily came into the public consciousness in the late 2000s. So what was it like seeing that this album that you produced kind of became a phenomenon in a way?
Well, okay, so it's a good question because I think I wasn't really aware of it happening for a long period of time. I think really. Yeah, I think that because I was kind of in my own thing and on my own path, I think I wasn't really like attached to that. It was becoming like such a big deal. I think that like I heard from people who would be like, "Did you know that it's become a really big deal?" And I'd be like, "Wow, that's cool."
It did.
So I think that when we made the record, I was trying to make something really great with my friends, and so it was I self-consciously was really pushing us and me to make something that I thought was great on the level of other great records like the Velvet Underground or the Beatles or something.
Yeah.
And so like, so I would say that I had a really high standard.
Oh, I'm sure.
Standard. So like, while we were making the album, and I think that whether or not actually anybody ever heard it, the record was really good. You know, like we made it that way. I knew that it was really good. I made it.
I once read a review over it that was like, it described it as the most distorted album of all time, and like I was like, yeah, in a way, and it's
probably true. It might be. Like, every single instrument was distorted, like you were describing through tape machines and stuff.
Well, like one song that always really impressed me with that was listening to Holland 1945, where the left and right channels are two, like what sounds like to be two different effects on the guitar, because you have the acoustic C coming in, dun, 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 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on one side it sounds more clean, and on the other side it sounds higher gain, but it creates a really wide sound, and it's really cool.
It's because thank you for saying that. It's because we had on that song we had so I need to listen to it and make sure that it I don't know if it's that we doubled the guitar or that but on that album I recorded Jeff's guitar both with a microphone, a Neumann U87, which is a really awesome old microphone, and a which now is incredibly expensive, but then it was only a little expensive, and I was able to use all of my money to buy one, and it's been I still have it. It's in fact, the Neumann U87 that I bought through like a classified ads type thing in the 1990s, and I ended up buying it from this guy Mark Lynette, who was Brian Wilson's engineer. So I'm pretty sure I bought the Neumann U87 that I think it came into my studio from him having worked on it, and I always imagined that he worked on it with Brian Wilson.
I was about to say the essence of Brian Wilson came in.
Yeah, somehow came into the studio. I've got lots of stories where I can tell you about that though. Like I met Brian Wilson when I was just a little older than you. So okay, wait, hold on. Back to the album. I think that I wanted it to be great, and I wanted it to be great for my friends, and I'm reasonably confident, so I knew it was great. And so at the moment that it was done and it was filed away, and I knew that it was great, I think I was done. I was satisfied.
Yeah.
So it's very satisfying for me that over time it turned into this kind of phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's satisfying, but also at the same time it was on purpose. So it's like it would be surprising in a sense when you do something with so much purposefulness if it didn't. But the fact is that you don't expect it will. All underground artists, everybody I know is a genius who makes a record, makes music that like nobody else hears. So like it's like you expect that. That's the model you expect. Nobody knew about Syd Barrett. He was like one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Yeah. So I mean, I'm saying he's like reasonably famous now, but even now, like over a half century later, he's not that famous.
Yeah.
And so like most people know Pink Floyd, and very few people know Syd Barrett, comparatively. So
well, he was in Pink Floyd for a very short time. So
yes, I mean, and I love Pink Floyd, but like in any event, like the fact is that the model of bands that I always liked were bands who achieved very highly musically, but didn't. But in fact, this was almost like my heroes. These are my heroes.
Yeah.
But that stayed, that were underdogs. That's like what our whole music scene's about, you know, is being that, like living it and like leaning into it, you know.
And it's like, and I'm seeing this influence everywhere because, you know, this is gonna sound weird. I can confidently walk down the street right now and like just ask them if they have at least seen the cover of Aeroplane, because Aeroplane, even if you haven't heard a single song off of the album, for some reason that cover is just unanimously recognizable. And a funny part of that,
it's so interesting to hear that. This is really cool to hear a field report from your generation to me about this thing that I did when I was just around your age, because it's like it's very cool to hear about it, because like I'm really tuned into like music history and stuff.
It's become a big thing for us.
I made something great that I expected with lots of things that were great that I expect would just go into the void and just for my friends, you know, and that's good enough. It's not just good enough. It's like glorious to do that. In a sense, it risks cheapening your work when it gets shared with the public. It risks cheapening it when it becomes more widely available. So like that, it's something can blossom like that, without it becoming cheapened, like that album. You know, it's like it can blossom organically, so that it like so that there's no like cringe factor to its blossoming.
No,
it's a really good way for something to go down a long period of time. It's a really slow roll. You know?
I'm not gonna say that. it getting bigger, basically it still kept itself pure, but like on one hand it's like when so funny enough, like it gained popularity again like during the mid 2000s from the board site 4chan, which is really funny to me because 4chan as a website sucks, but then Aeroplane
I know it's so interesting, but like
yeah, it's 4chan.
The internet just changes fast is the thing.
Yeah, and it became a big thing on 4chan, and then everybody's like,
oh my god, that was how that happened.
There was this awesome album, and then they're just like, oh, what's up with this band? Oops, they kind of no longer exist. And then it became this phenomenon again. And now within Gen Z, it is in a completely different way than it was with 4chan, just massive again, because so many musicians now are taking that record as like the building blocks for what they do. Hell, I took it as the building blocks for what I do. So like
that makes me feel really happy.
And I'm watching it just become this new thing. And one big thing to me is that people that come to me, like having already listened to Aeroplane, I'm able to finally introduce them to A, the rest of the Neutral Milk Hotel discography, and B, the rest of Elephant Six, because like people will hear
so awesome.
People will hear Aeroplane, and I'm just like, oh, wait till you hear On Avery Island. It's really fucking weird because
I'm really proud of that album. That's one of my favorite albums.
Like listening to it, like because I listened to it back to front, back to front to back a lot. That is a strange album, but it's so fun because it's way more eclectic. Marching Theme is the weirdest thing I've ever heard, and I love it. Like,
it's a bizarre song.
And I'm watching all of these people get really like cultivated by Aeroplane, but the only downside of that was the next question that I'm getting to was, what are your feelings on seeing I'm gonna quote my full question. What are your feelings on seeing the mystery behind Jeff as a person? I know you get an influx of Neutral Milk Hotel questions because of this. I have a weird perspective of it because I was coming into Elephant Six blinded by the mythos of Neutral Milk Hotel, and that was shattered as I talked to people that know Jeff. So the thing with that is, there's a lot of Jeff has kind of been treated as like Bigfoot in a way. So like there's so many like myths surrounding.
You mean like sightings or something?
Yeah, and it will like, and even then, like you've probably seen more Bigfoot sightings recently than you'll see Jeff Mangum sightings. Like they're just he's been treated like. I guess what I'm asking is like.
No, I understand.
What's your opinion on being
it's a public curiosity?
Mm-hmm.
When it's a public curiosity, when somebody dashes away when you try to look at them. And there's and it's not unique to Jeff, but like within but indie music is a very small scene really. When it comes down to it, the scene that the people that like love this music is really a pretty small scene around the world.
Yeah.
Like when you're in a scene, it feels like, oh well, it's like everybody, and like there's even like sub scenes within that. But really, when you talk about when you walk out of the door and you look at the next person that you see, and you wonder if they listen to indie music, and the person after that, and the person after that, and the person after that, you start to find that most of them don't. And like you really are in a very, very rarefied community of people that kind of like, you know, like you're bonded together by this taste in music. Mm-hmm. The music is like it's a thread that binds us. And so so what I'm trying to say is that like even those people that are interested in the rarity of somebody like disappearing from the spotlight or whatever, it's still a very small number of people who kind of like have that fascination.
Yeah.
It's small. It's not like well, what I'm trying to say is that it's like how like in psychology there's this metaphor of the iceberg, and like the subconscious mind is under the water, and then there's the tip that's the conscious mind.
Yeah.
That's what the public sees in any music scene. They only see the tip. The bulk of the music scene and all of the influences and all of the heroes happen underneath the surface, and most people don't know about it. If you ask some hip-hop artist or some punk rock artist or some experimental music person who their hero is, it's somebody you've never heard of when they say the name. You're like, who is that? They're like, it's this person that did this thing. Just like you when you're telling your friends about people that they don't know about. The fact is that like a music scene, it has an entry point that happens to be where the public caught on. And through that entry point, you can go down and see the whole thing, like the 1960s, and it's the Beatles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. But then also in the 1960s, there's like the white noise, and there's a lot of really good weird music in the 1960s, the United States of America. There's like, I'm saying that, and so it takes something of a larger scale than just artfulness itself to capture the public's curiosity. With all of the brilliance of the Surrealist movement, it took Salvador Dali's extravagance to capture the public's eye. With all of the, it takes, the public is a very slow-moving animal, and it's it's desensitized. It takes it needs like a big wow factor. And then it like shifts, and so like otherwise it just wants to keep going and keep doing the same thing and looking the same and listening to the same thing. At the same time, it's always hungry for something new. So as soon as it gets that, it can shift. Our entire music scene, the dozens, 50, 100 bands, all of these great artists and all of these amazing songwriters and producers and all of the 4-track recording and all of the philosophy around that, and it's also a very practical philosophy. 4-track recording and home recording is very practical. You can do it. Your friends can do it. You don't need to go somewhere else and pay them. You don't need to blow your income on going to do that. You can blow your income on buying something for your apartment to record with. Yep. You can you know what I mean? It's like very practical. On top of that, you might think about how much energy it takes to record in a recording studio. It's a lot of energy to run an industrial scale studio with all the computers and the air conditioning and the tape machines and the stuff. Now look, it's totally worth it if you're making some sick ass record, but it's also really cheap and you can do it on your own at home.
Oh,
and it's energy efficient. It's energy efficient to use a tiny little tape deck. And it's not like I'm just saying, everything's good about home recording. There's nothing bad about it. You know what I mean?
I remember I was when I was first introducing my friends to like 4-tracking on cassette, they were just like, well, what if I want to use more than 4 tracks? And I was teaching them what bouncing tracks was, and I was saying, but hey, you can move tracks 1 and 2 to be just track 1, so you're opening up a completely new track, so you can expand these 4 into 8, and it's just, they're like, whoa, this is so cool. Yeah. And I'm just like, with me?
It's like a cool game.
This only happened with me because I'm scared of recording on digital. I don't know why. It's for sure a fear that doesn't make sense. But I'm
okay.
like,
let it guide you. I was afraid of it when I was your age too, and it's totally fine. I'll tell you that it's all about the music and about the spirit of what you put into it. You could record on your phone, you can record on a tape deck or whatever. But at the same time, the tools that we use to make art are part of the artist that we are. Are you a sculptor or are you a painter? That's the difference. Mm-hmm. What tool are you using? So you're using the tape deck, you're a painter, compared to being a sculptor or whatever. I'm just saying it's like a different thing. And and it's like you master a tool to be an artist. Yeah. You don't try to do everything.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. But that's how I was originally. But now it's just that I've honed in on this one specific craft, and I'm just like, okay, I'm now comfortable with this. Because I remember when I first
that's good.
When I first picked up this Tascam when I was talking about being in that band a while back, and I sat it on my lap, it looked like a spaceship because I didn't know what any of it meant. I was looking at
how did you
looking
figure
at all
it
the
out?
sliders, looking at the knobs, and I was like, what? Oh my god, what does this mean? And
what
then,
did you do? Did you watch videos and experiment with it or
Well, I kind of just used my own kind of common sense to figure it out, and I did perfectly. And then some of the things I had to look up because I remember when I first started recording, I didn't have any access to blank cassettes. But then I remember I had to channel my dad and be like, oh my god, what did you tell me? What did you tell me? And then I remembered, oh my god, I can just get tapes that I no longer use, put a piece of tape over and dub over that. So, and I was having to pull all these old tricks when my dad was making mixtapes and stuff and use these just tricks to figuring everything out. And I was like, I'm not going to look it up. I'll see if I can do this on my own and not mess up anything. And I did because...
Did it? You retained the knowledge?
I did because I really didn't know, I'm only ever so slightly embarrassed to say, I didn't know how to switch tracks that I wanted to record on. And I was like, oh my god, there's 4 switches under there where I can just it's just I didn't know how to switch from track 1 to wanting to record on track 2, and I was like, oh my god, it's the easiest thing ever, and I've mastered that now.
That is amazing. Oh my god. Okay. Wait. I want to say a few things. one, it's amazing that you retained that skill from your dad, and I'm so sorry for your loss of your dad.
Well, he's taught me plenty. He introduced me to Elephant 6, so I couldn't be more grateful, because the only reason that I did because my knowledge of Elephant 6 came in from a lot of weird places. Because like I was introduced to the Olivia Tremor controller through my dad, but I was introduced to the apples through two strange places. One, Yo Gabba Gabba. Two, Little Big Planet.
That's cool.
I remember hearing Energy, and I was like, I really like that song because I don't know, it just sounded cool, and I found the video, and I was like, oh, Elijah Wood directed this, and I just kept digging and digging and digging. And
it's Elijah's birthday today, BT Dubs.
What?
It's Elijah's birthday today.
Oh, fun! I was about to say I'll tell him happy birthday, but I do not have contact with Elijah Wood.
We can tell him happy birthday in our hearts, just into space.
Cool. But yeah, just getting introduced to all of that. And then I got introduced to Neutral Milk Hotel because I was in Barnes & Noble once, and I saw the Aeroplane cover, and I was like, this looks cool. And because I never just buy records without knowing, but I was like, I don't know, something to and I saw the name Neutral Milk Hotel, and I was like, I wonder what that means. Then what Bill Doss came out and said it was a non sequitur, and I'm like, cool, it means nothing. All right.
Yes, that's right.
And it was just I bought it, and I was entranced by that. So it's just, I don't know, it's my really dad and these childhood influences, and I guess living in Athens is the coolest part of it, because like I was getting introduced to these bands and then figuring out that some of the members or even some of the bands are still playing like down the street. Because like, fun fact, I saw
you live in the place. You live in the scene.
Yeah, I saw you live in 2017 when you played the Georgia Theater. And
that's so amazing.
Funny because this feels like a full circle moment because I was there with my dad. Because I remember y'all
really happy.
Y'all opened with Tidal Wave.
Yes, that's right.
I fucking love Tidal Wave.
It was a really awesome version of it, as I recall. It was the first time we played in a number of years, and the last. So, like,
yeah. And being there was insane, and hearing Tidal Wave open, because I was...
That makes me so happy.
I was, like, maybe 8. Yeah, I was 8. But I was still there, and it was really fun, because I remember you're wearing this vest. And then I remember I heard... And I'm like, holy shit, this is my song!
That's great. At 8, you loved Tidal Wave?
Yeah, but I don't know, it's infectious. Foot on the street and a foot in the gutter. It's one foot in the morning rain. I'm like, oh my god, I love this. At 8.
I'm so happy that makes me so happy.
It's going to shows with my dad was one thing, because like I went to my first shows with my dad, and then we're just going around and reliving that in a way.
I would like to say, the other thing I wanted to say is that it's very impressive the way you've learned to record and how you taught yourself to do it and you figured it out like that. Your dad would be really impressed and really proud of you. As a dad myself, I want you to know that your dad would be really, really, really impressed and really proud.
I appreciate that a lot, actually.
Like, it's really impressive. It's really amazing that you've done that.
Yeah, it's all kind of coming together for me now. We're about to finish our second album, so that's awesome, a big thing. Yeah, that's so awesome. And I was looking through the liner notes because I was looking at all the people that I thanked, and I was like, this is an accumulation of all the people that like somewhat believed in me. And that's
yes.
It's kind of beautiful.
Add me in there too, then, because
I did. You actually are. If you go to the website and look at the liner notes, I think you're like the third one.
I didn't read the liner notes. I'll check it out. Thank you.
It's my boyfriend and then Matthew Bell, because I remember he randomly followed me on Instagram, and I was like, oh, you run Don't Bother Wearing Seatbelts, and he was like, yeah.
He's awesome.
He's a great dude.
He has a really awesome personality.
Yeah, and hold on, this is one of my new. Oh my god, I love glare. This is one of my new demos. It's called Shedding Season, which is.
I like your drawing on it.
Well, yes, it's one of my little dudes. You have another one of my little dudes on the back.
Were you able to gain cassette tapes? Do you have cassettes now? Blank cassettes?
I do have blank cassettes.
Good. I'll tell you that I have a massive. I hoard blank cassettes because I live in a region where I can find them in the thrift store and stuff. So if you ever need blank cassettes, you just like send me a mailing address and I will mail you a batch of them. Okay.
I literally always need blank cassettes.
But the only problem is that they're usually low bias, and high bias is what you need for recording on 4-track. They're better.
Yeah, I know. It's just because for sure. But the
high bias tapes are really hard to come by nowadays.
I was satisfied with dubbing over really shitty Chrome cassettes with pre-recorded audio on them. So I'm okay.
Those could be high bias depending on major label. Some old cassettes were high bias. It could be actually a good choice to be getting to be recording over professional to cassettes.
I remember
Like,
I was recording over, like, I did a small, like, run of demos just to distribute to friends, and I was just, like, out of spite, just because I used to be big into Harry Potter, not a big fan of J.K. Rowling, so what I would do is I would get Harry Potter audiobooks, and I dubbed over them, so you would hear the demo, and then the second it ended, you get a few seconds of silence, and it would, like, go into Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire or something.
I see. I see.
After we finish up, I'll send you a mailing address because I need that.
So then next time I go to the post office, I'll send you. I have at least one Maxell XL2 that I'll send you, which is a high bias tape.
Yes,
okay,
perfect.
Look, those are like, they sound so good. Okay, that's what I always recorded on. And so but in any event, I mean, you okay, check it out. I did a lot of stuff when I was your age. Okay.
Yes.
But I continued every moment from then until now to keep doing that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've done a lot of crazy things, my dude. Like, I'm just telling you, things you don't know about and that you won't know about. I've done so many things. I've done so many things. The things you know about are examples of the few times that it went above the water from the iceberg. Okay. So, okay. All right. Okay. So just understand that, okay? Understand that I do a lot of things. So now I'm catching you up, okay, to my current things. About maybe 6 years ago or something, I had a storage space in Athens that had most of my old tape machines and stuff in it from my recording studio still.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I've had dozens of tape machines that I've carried around with me since I was just a little older than you. I accumulated them and I kept carrying them, and I love these things. Some of them I had just for parts in case the other ones broke. It made sense when I had a studio, but since I haven't had a studio for decades now, it started to make less sense. And so there was a point that I made a psychological break, and I was like, these tape machines need to go into circulation and out of my storage space where they're just decaying.
Mm-hmm.
And so in any event, we moved to Athens at that time, and my friends, John Ferguson, my bandmate, and some of his friends came down to help me move my storage space. We were going to move out of the storage space in Atlanta and move it to a storage space in Athens, okay? I had two storage spaces. One was filled with tape machines, and the other one was just filled with personal stuff. So I went to the, where I'm going with this has to do with tape machines, by the way. This is a tape machine themed.
I assumed.
Okay. So I went to, I had to go to the U-Haul to get my U-Haul truck. And at the U-Haul store, at the U-Haul place in Atlanta, now this is a random U-Haul. I was at a random place in the middle of a huge city, as big as like New York City, okay? Just a random U-Haul place where they happened to have the truck I needed. And there was a guy in front of me in line, and he walked away, he got his truck, his keys, and he walked away, and I walked up, and the woman at the counter said, "Oh, I'm sorry, that man just got your truck." I said, "I'm Robert Schneider, I'm here to get a truck." She said, "Oh, we just gave him your truck." And so I don't know how it happens at U-Haul. It must be first come, first serve or something like that, and they really don't reserve it, or I don't know what happened. But in any event, the guy himself overheard this thing, and he turned around and he said, "Wait, did you say your name's Robert Schneider?" He's the guy who got my truck, okay?
Oh, is it?
Did you say your name's Robert Schneider? Now, okay, I'm at a random place in the middle of Atlanta, not Athens, Atlanta, at a random U-Haul facility in a huge city. And the guy's like, "Did you say your name's Robert Schneider?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you Robert Schneider, the producer?" Now, this is really weird, and this is like almost 10 years ago now. I was like, "Well, yeah." Now, this is really weird to get recognized in a U-Haul place in the middle of a huge city that's random, at a random U-Haul where I'm picking up a truck, by the guy who got my truck. And I was like, "Yes." He was like, "Can I ask you for advice?" And I was like, "Yes." He was like, he has my truck. So he's like, I got another truck. I'm joking. He didn't take the only copy of my truck. I did get a truck, just so you know. He just got the one that had been. It was just funny that he had gotten the truck that was in my name. So he was like, I'm moving up to Michigan right now, and I'm going up there because I'm starting a recording studio, and I've read everything that I can about your production techniques. Now again, this is extremely rare for me. 0 times does it happen that somebody talks to me about my production techniques in public. Ever. 0 times to any producer. No producer gets accosted in public and talked about, not accosted, no producer gets identified, recognized in public.
I don't know, I like the use of accosted.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't accosting. It was like we were in line together. It was so organic. He was walking away and he overheard my name and he just spun around. So like we're like chatting.
Hey, I know you. You do?
Like, it's so weird. It's so weird because it's like, you have to understand, you live in Athens, and your dad liked the apples, so to you, I am somebody that you knew about. But in the regular world, the apples and Elephant Six and these things are incredibly obscure and nobody knows about them. Yeah. To be recognized for anything in public by anybody, for anybody to be recognized in public is really rare. Okay.
Honestly, I found it
even for movie stars.
this is gonna sound weird, but being recognized as Robert Schneider, the producer, is weirder to me because like you were on Colbert, by the way.
Oh yeah, see, that's the thing. It wasn't because of my band.
It wasn't. It's because you're producing.
He had read about my production technique. He recognized my name. He didn't know what I looked like. He knew who I was, and he had read about my techniques. And he was asking me for advice on an 8-track. Because he was moving up to Michigan and he wanted to have an analog studio and he wanted to have one that was similar to my studio. And he was wondering if I could advise him. He wanted to get an 8-track reel-to-reel. He'd been looking at them online. Could I advise him on what a good kind was? I was like, yes. Well, a Tascam would be good, but I had used an Otari. And then it just hit me. I was standing there in this moment with the U-Haul truck, and this guy has his U-Haul truck, and we're at the U-Haul place together in Atlanta, and we're both moving, and he's going to get a studio in Michigan. And I was like, would you like to come to my storage space right now and I'll just give you my tape machine? The same tape machine you're talking about, the one I recorded all of those albums on. Would you like to just come and get it and you can take it and have it in your studio? And he was like, yes. So he came to my storage space and he got my tape machine and I signed it for him and I gave him my tape machine that I got. I bought it with our recording budget when we recorded Funtrick Noisemaker, recorded the Olivia Tremor Control, Neutral Milk Hotel, the Minders, all of the records on this tape machine. Her Wallpaper Reverie, Velocity of Sound, but it's been languishing for like 20 years. Falling into disrepair, and it's a great tape machine. It had all the accessories and cabling and stuff. I bought it. It's the best 8-track tape machine ever made, ever. And it's like lonely in a storage space. And so he was really happy about it, and he came and he got it, and I knew that I was giving him the tape machine he was asking for advice about. He was like, can you advise me on the right tape machine? And it's like, yes, I know exactly the tape machine you need to get.
Yeah, it's not only that.
50/50, and in fact, would you like mine?
Yeah, it's not only that you gave him the tape machine that would have worked best for him, but the tape machine that inspired what he's looking to do. It's just like, hey, do you want not only the specific model, but just the one?
It was the exact tape machine he wanted. I mean, okay. I see what you're saying. You're right. From that perspective, that's very nice that you think of it that way. From his perspective, it was a special tape machine, but from my perspective, it was also the exact model I was advising. Like it felt very, very technically precise.
But like with him, I'm imagining that this dude is listening to these records that is inspiring the production style that he wanted, and he is getting the tape machine that recorded the albums with the production style that he wanted. So it's like, I don't know, that's fun. It's a little funny to me.
I will say that my tape machine to me is more than a piece of equipment. It's like something very spiritual and like a part of me. And to give it to somebody that valued it like that felt right. It felt really good in that moment.
For sure, you didn't have to worry about where it was going.
Yeah, it was just like I was talking in the U-Haul place. We both have U-Haul trucks. I'm just a mile or two away is my storage space where I'm trying to load out these tape machines. And here's this young guy who is interested in this exact thing, and he can basically pick up the thread right there. He can pick it up right there with the tape machine and keep moving. And he did. He moved it up to Michigan, and he texted me actually about a week and a half ago, or a couple of weeks ago, and he has a studio up there, and he has the tape machine. He got it refurbished, and it's running in his studio.
Wow.
And so I can go down if I want to. And what's really weird is that some years later I ended up moving to Michigan. Really weird. Out of all places. And so if I wanted to, I could go down and record on my tape machine.
That's really funny.
At this dude Chris's studio. Isn't that cool? Okay, but hold on. That's not where I was going with the story. That's a sub story though, and I should
still
mention.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm still in my story. However, right now I want to apologize to Josh Bloom, who wrote this recent book on the apples. Because Josh, I had told him a little bit of that story, and he kept wanting all of those details I just told you. Not wanting them, he asked me about them, and he kept reminding me to tell him, and I kept forgetting to do it. So I just told you all the details that I had never told Josh, so I feel bad. In fact, he even wrote a fake version of the story that was totally disjoint from reality and a fantasy, and he sent to me to try to fill in and he was like, I'm gonna put this in my book, and
I think I'm friends with him on Facebook. If I am, I'll send him this clip.
So now I'm apologizing to Josh. However, now moving along. So what I wanted to express to you is this. So I got rid of many tape machines. I gave away a number to Chris, actually, because he also got a couple of 2-track tape machines from me, reel-to-reels. Yeah. And I ended up giving... And also I had a huge 16-track that I gave to my friend Bryce Goggin that recorded New Magnetic Wonder and some other Apples albums, Travelers in Space and Time. And over the course of some years, I was able to donate and give away all of my tape machines. Beautiful, big, great tape machines. More junky tape machines. However, as it turns out, about maybe 9 months ago, here in Michigan, I moved up to Michigan with no tape machines,
Oh.
And I went to a local studio to help them clear out the studio because it was moving, and they were having an auction. And in the end, they had a bunch of tape machines left over that nobody bought, and they needed to donate them to somebody. So guess who has 11 to 20 tape machines?
I'm gonna guess it's you.
It's me. For instance,
Oh, I'm getting shown tape machines. My dream.
hold on just a second here. I have, I can't show them all to you, and many of them are in my office. But for instance, hang on just a second, in this closet, check this out what I have here. This one I actually bought. I bought this tape machine, which clued them into knowing that I liked tape machines. Hang on just a second here, my friend. Now I'm spilling cassette tapes everywhere. Okay. Reels of tape that came with it. Blank reels of tape. And check out this.
Oh, Lord.
Check this out. 1960s 4-track reel-to-reel with multi-sync. Reel-to-reel tape decks, you have to actually press a button to get it to go into overdub mode. Look at the beautiful take-up reel that comes with it. Doe Quarter was like a British equivalent of something like Tascam or TIAC.
Yeah.
And anyway, I think I bought this for $60.
Oh.
And it was amazing that the studio had these. So in any event, I have these amazing. Oh, but where I'm going with this is somehow I have a bunch of tape machines again. I love them, but I love.
Which is what we went back around.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny? Isn't that sad for my family? So yeah.
Okay, if you look at my bedroom currently, I mean I couldn't do it. I can barely fit like a Tascam on my desk over here.
Yeah,
sorry, I'm just
this stuff. Yeah, my office and other places. I have tape machines. I have tape machines everywhere. Seriously, I have tape machines everywhere. My poor family. Now hold on. Let me put this back in the closet. And so I want to tell you just a little more. Now this is an honor. I received these tape machines from somebody. The audio engineer had passed away, and it's a huge honor for me to receive his tape machines and to be involved in cleaning his studio. Separately from that, I have a friend who runs a local record store called Kitschy Spirit Records. That's up here in Calumet, Michigan. It's a super hip record, cassette, and zine shop. And he has a record label, and they put out tapes. And he dubs off the tapes himself, and he has 3 cassette decks that he uses to run off cassettes for his label.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to run off some cassettes myself. And so the studio that was closing down they used back in the day, they used to run off cassettes for local bands and stuff like that. They would duplicate cassettes.
Yeah.
And print them out, so that was one of the services they offered.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a number of cassette dubbing decks. Guess who has them now?
Oh, Lord.
So my friend Chris had 3 cassette decks, but now we have a stack of 12 cassette decks, and I have more in the closet and in my office, and some that need repairing. We call it the stereolith. It's a monolith of stereos. And
that's really funny.
Yeah, it's super cool. The stereolith. It's this tower of cassette decks, and we use it to dub off cassettes. So you can dub off 12 or 15 at a time. You just have to set all of them running, and then you start your computer or your iPhone or whatever, and you start.
Oh, I'd pass away.
It's
wow.
Really amazing. And we're gonna have so this is part of my cassette addiction and obsession. And this is also bringing you up to date so that you can see that I do weird stuff from the moment I was your age till now. And so what we're going to start doing this year is that we're going to, at his record store, we're going to have electronic and experimental bands come in. His record store also has shows. It's like the center of our local music scene. Also, there's a local underground noise music scene here where I live in the small region in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And so
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's just blossoming. When I came here, it was founding. It's centered around this little record shop in Calumet, Michigan. In any event, they have shows at the shop, usually experimental and electronic shows. And and so what we're going to start doing is we're going to have stereolith records, where we're going to have the tape deck, the stack of tape decks in the record store, and bands will play and they'll record live to tape. So like we'll have all of the tapes recording at once, and you're recording your show and it's going live to tape. Flip over the tape and the other band plays. They record live to tape, and then you have however many tapes you recorded. That's the release. Like we're all recorded live directly to tape, and then we sell them at the show.
Wait,
so that's how we're gonna start doing. We're gonna do some. Hopefully, we'll do that next month or soon. So I'm really excited about that.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
Never thought about that, huh?
Thank you. Well, okay. So like in the old days when they first started making records, I mean, like in the year 1900, like how do you think that they made a bunch of copies of one song? They had like a bunch of phonographs set up in a room with one band playing, and they were recording to a bunch of phonographs all at once. So right, like all the phonographs are recording a copy, and that copy goes into the package and out to the customer. So in the old days, like if you buy an old wax, like an old 78, very old records and very old Edison cylinders, those are recorded live to cylinder. So like you're buying a unique recording. That's the live recording directly to the cylinder from the artist recording onto a machine, you know, and they had a bunch of those machines in the recording studio at that time, like as many as they could jam into the room, all recording at once, the same performance. And so like so that's what gave us the idea of the stereolith records, was that you have a bunch of tape decks all going, kind of like a bunch of old phonographs, and you have the band playing and you're recording live to all of the cassettes at once, and then that's your release.
I might just have to come out just to witness that. Like,
well, you can come up and play a show sometime, okay? And
I'd have to. Me and my band are getting back into playing again. We went on a weird hiatus for a second, but
cool. Well then, yes, I understand weird hiatuses, my friend.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened there. We just kind of like I didn't even say we were going on a hiatus. I was just like, I just kind of stopped, and I don't know why.
I understand. Everything goes in waves.
Yeah, but we're back and better than ever. Whew.
Good. I can't wait to hear it.
Let me pull up a few of these questions. There's some like hyper specific ones in here.
Oh yeah, let's dive into some more questions. I'm so sorry. I was chit-chatting about tape decks and stuff like that.
No, because that's the thing that I was excited because I was talking to my partner about this, and I was just like, okay, so you're aware of Robert Schneider, and he was like, yeah, and I'm like, so you know me, and then he was like, yes, and I was like, so just you know how I am about tape, right? And then he just said, oh God, and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting conversation.
Okay. So then it's okay that I went there with.
Oh yeah, I was fully expecting and very much embracing this.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a lifelong problem for me, and I thought that I had gotten rid of all the tape decks, and now I have more than I had before. It's so weird. But I also have a mathematics and music lab, and I'm at a college where there's a really large recording program, and there are lots of students that are interested in recording to tape. So I really do have, like right now there are local bands here in town that are recording with 4-track, and I have the ambition of these kids doing a lab with me where I can teach them all about tape machines, and then we can all try to fix all the tape machines, and then they could take the tape machine they fix away with them, and then I won't have as many anymore.
That's actually not a bad idea.
It'd be a really good plan, right?
Things.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this is one of my more hyper-specific ones. I wrote a lot of Apple songs sound very bright, but a lot of the songs also deal with an underlying sense of melancholy. For example, Benefits of Lying with Your Friend is a sad song. And so I was like, how intentional is that contrast while writing?
I think that it's on purpose. I think that, okay. When I'm writing a song, I'm not really like purposefully sitting around constructing it. I generally like write a song in some sort of a flow of like something like it comes pretty quickly. So usually a song comes in kind of a flood of like ideas that come really quickly, and it happens too quickly for me to keep track of. And I have something that's almost fully formed at the time that I start to think about it. So like just so you know, so like I don't compose a song the way that I might compose an arrangement, where I might play around on the piano and try different things out and like try to like get it to work nicely. I don't do that with songwriting. With songwriting, it's like beginning to end. I'm just kind of like letting it flow, and the way that it comes out is kind of the way that it goes. And I might do a little bit of editing later, but I generally, if it gets to the point in the song where I'm like, where should it go? Well, that's where I put the song aside and I don't work on it anymore, and like it'll come on its own. So like,
well, because you don't want to cheapen your art by trying to figure out where it's going to come from there. Because
that's right. You need to give it time.
If you're really having to think about it, then you're not in the headspace to fully complete that yet.
No, that's exactly right. That's right. Writing songs is a mixture of thinking and feeling, and they have to go back and forth a little bit. And so if you're leaning too hard into the thinking for too long, you kind of can get the feeling that you need to put a pause on it. Like it should be, it should feel like a going back and forth kind of thing. That's kind of like the way I think about it. Recordings like that too. If you're spending too long on the track, then it's time to just put it away for the day and come back to it a little later. You'll get it in the first take.
Sure.
And so wait, what you asked me about the apples? Oh yes. When I was in the 1980s, music was generally really gloomy, and also in the grunge music and music, post-punk music when I was a young kid was very music in the 80s and the early 90s was by default very sort of dark and gloomy, and that was to sort of music was very glossy, and pop culture was very glossy at that time, and so it was contrasting sort of the just the glossiness of pop culture. So there was sort of a darkness in the underground, and I liked a lot of that music with and at the same time, like I can remember as I was maybe 18 or 19. Starting to feel like why is there zero bands? Why are there zero bands that are actually projecting positivity in the modern era? And I loved bands from the in addition to loving modern music, I was really obsessed with the Beatles and the Beach Boys and the Pink Floyd and these great bands from the 60s. And and in the 60s generation projected a very sunny viewpoint. And now very famously, as they went into the 70s, that kind of collapsed on them. And so, in the 70s was a more dismal time for them. And so I recognized that. I recognized that sunshine for them didn't last forever. Maybe it was like the myth of Icarus getting too close to the sun, or something like that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But, that's the way that I saw it. At the same time, that's not the way that it has to be. Because, there's a different path. There's a different path, you don't have to, there's a different path. And, I kind of, at that time, well, for one thing, all of those bands were commercial bands that were trying to make it on the top 40 and stuff. Even the Pink Floyd and stuff were on, they were in the grind of this music industry of their era. And you don't have to be. Maybe that's part of maybe that's the component that kind of messed things up. Maybe it was the commercialism of the 1960s and of the pop, capital pop, that they had going in the 60s, pop art and so on. That maybe that ended up corrupting it in some way. I'm not sure.
The hyper commercialism of it just kind of made it fall in on itself.
It really hyped it up for a few years there and put it into the public consciousness, but then maybe it kind of collapsed into some sort of cartoon kind of thing or something, and so by the time that you're in the early 1990s, to sing songs with la 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 and things like that in it and hand claps and stuff like that, it would have felt like a joke to somebody in my age group, like cartoon music. And so to introduce those elements into something underground music was really controversial in my age group, and people didn't get it when I was trying to do it, and my friends were trying to do it. In any event, I can remember that it occurred to me once. I can even remember where I was. I was on my college campus, and it was this kind of park that was on the campus that had a bridge, and I was standing on the bridge, and it just kind of hit me. It was why is everybody so negative in music? Why is there no music that's not negative anymore and that's thoughtful? And it's I love the music being loud and harsh, and I love the music sounding negative. But the thing they're singing about also being negative, it's just kind of obvious. It's there's really not a lot there, It's just that's just the same as giving me a bunch of glossy music and then the lyrics are inane, which is the opposite that you would critique you might have of pop or something if you were in the underground.
Yeah.
It's just fluff, Well, it's just fluff also if it's just darkness. It's just dark fluff.
I was about to say, with pop, this is I've actually had a similar thought process to what you said, because my metaphor for it has been where people in the underground would say with all that it's just fluff. People in the underground writing composing all this gloomy music and with the gloomy songwriting is just sandpaper. That's all it is.
Oh, that's a good analogy. It's like fluff versus sandpaper, but it still is basically one thing. It's a homogenous thing that doesn't really it's easy to make.
Yeah. It's
mechanical to make it. You can just crank
There's
it out.
There's nothing to it.
Exactly.
There's not even nuance to it.
No,
you're not hiding it within meaning, and you're not even playing with what the words mean. You're just kind of outwardly saying it doesn't, you're not leaving, like, this is going to sound so pretentious, but you're not leaving anything to the listener. You're not.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's exactly what it is. You're just saying what it is. Like, there's no subtlety to it at all. There's nothing to the listener. It's like gloom, gloom, gloom. Buh, here you go. It's like Eeyore and Winnie the Pooh, So I just and okay. So now on the other hand, if you listen to the Beach Boys, or for me the thing that. So for me, the kind of music the music that's always moved me the most throughout my life has been R&B. Just like since I was a kid growing up in the 80s and like the birth of rap, and like it's not the music that I make, but it's the music that has always spoken to me the most. The 60s Motown and stuff like that has always spoken to me the most.
For sure.
There's a and particularly like the girl groups. I love girl groups and like the Supremes and stuff that Phil Spector produced. And there's a Supreme song called The Happening. And if you haven't heard The Happening, you should listen to it, because it's the happiest song. The production, it could come from a Walt Disney movie. It's so happy. It's over the top happiness. It's like a Mardi Gras band, like a marching band, like with like all of these like piccolo flutes. It's just so happy and bouncy. It is the most joyous song that I've ever heard. When I was your age, when I first heard it, it's just like I can't tell you. It's so much bliss that just like washed over me. The beauty of the arrangement, the musical parts were so great, and for many years, that song just like buoyed me along because it's so incredibly joyous. The Happening. And it wasn't until I was like maybe even in my 30s that like I like listened to the lyrics of The Happening. I don't know why it wasn't until that time, but like and the lyrics for The Happening are very sad. The happening was how her heart was broken by somebody really mean. And the thing happened to her. She thought her life was so great, and it was smooth, and it was going to be great. And then the happening happened, and it'll never be the same. Everything was destroyed. Like, it's this really sad thing that, like, we can all relate to, you know? It's like, you don't expect the happening. You expect your life you expect things to keep going. And then this devastating thing happens, and that's what the song is about. In the song, she's deceived by her love interest. And like she felt like they were together forever, and then suddenly the happening happened, and she's left all alone. You know, and like it's a very moving song, and it's sad. It's a very, very sad lyric, and like and it's so interesting because it's the happiest song in the world. It's the happiest sounding song. There is no happier sounding song, and the lyric is like incredibly sad. Now, the fact is that listening to R&B music from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. You have this genre of music that is incredibly like danceable, and it's designed to make you move and to make you sing along, and it's so incredibly catchy. Every single instrumental part is so catchy. You know, if you're like listening to R&B, it's like the bass line and the guitar line. It's just like it's piled on with hooks. You know, rock and pop music, we're kind of like it's like you're kind of just playing the same chords together, bang 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 bang, all playing the same thing. You know, in my band, we're just like we're all playing the same thing. R&B music, it's like things are popping up in all these different places. No instruments are playing at the same time. There's a flute, guitar, bass, drum hit. You know, it's like all these different things. The snare drum doesn't hit on the on the upbeat. It hits on the on the eighth note before the downbeat. Some funky thing, you know, because there was another instrument on the downbeat. All the instruments are arranged so that they're funky. They're poking out. Each instrument has its own rhythmic space, and the guitar is not strumming at the same time as the drums. It's going against the drums with a different rhythmic pattern, and that's against the bass, and that's against the horns, and that's against the keyboards, and so on. And so what you get is this like living kind of like arrangement where everything is moving at once, like a Mardi Gras, like hearing like a Dixieland band where everything is wild all at once, and yet it all winds together. That's what so R&B has that musical style, and it hits me that way. It feels like and I try to incorporate that aspect of its arrangement style in the Apple's music. In Apple's music, we aren't just all playing together the chords, at least not in the recordings. The recordings, everything is poking out in its own little place, and I write the arrangements that way. And I'm very careful about it, and I studied classical counterpoint when I was in college to learn how to do these kinds of things, and that's why I can arrange horns and stuff pretty reasonably well. I know just a little bit of music theory. In any event, R&B has this quality to it, this bustling, bursting quality of like liveliness and just like life. It's just like there's so much life when you're listening to it, and the music is meant to feel like that. and yet the lyrics are lyrics of suffering. They're almost always lyrics of being let down, being oppressed, being overlooked. You know, this is like the content of a song, of an R&B song. It is ecstatic. You are in heaven in your body, and yet you are suffering. You know, you're expressing suffering, and you're wrapping it up in so much joy, and it feels to me like life. So that's why I love R&B music, because it's like it expresses in the most joyous form of music the most like pure sense of suffering. And it's not, you know, on the other hand, you have bands like the Beach Boys who will make beautiful music like on Pet Sounds, where they might be expressing happiness sometimes, or maybe just a sense of isolation. But it's like expressed through musical arrangements that again are very, your happy feeling might be contrasted with a melancholy song. And that makes it feel even more happy. It's the kind of happiness of like thinking of last summer, you know, instead of like the thing that happened today. You know, it's a different kind of happiness. And like that kind of happiness I really relate to, the happiness of thinking about last summer, you know, and rapping that, you know, like the Beach Boys have a lot of songs like this, like All Summer Long. We've been having fun all summer long. It seems like this really poppy song, but it's like all about how the summer's coming to an end. It's really sad, and like it's one of their most catchy songs, and like but the song is very sad. And if you've lived as a young person and you've lived through that summer and you've had that kind of a relationship, you know, like then suddenly it like hits really hard. And like to hear a song like that, so it's like you have this happy pop song, but the content of it is very emotionally. Sorry. In that case, yeah, actually that's another example. Actually, that was an example of the same thing. I was trying to give an example of a song that's sad with a happy vocal line. So in any event, moving along. When I was a young person, I always had this ambition. It wasn't even an ambition; it was more of a critique. That it felt like there should be more contrast emotionally, and so like the Apples was kind of like a venue for that. For me to write music that felt like it was just perfect pop, and to be able to sing about things that were more serious, to sing about loneliness, and to sing about being an underdog, to sing about being lazy sometimes, to sing about being like well, I mean, you know, there's lots of things that you can sing about.
Of course.
Most Apple songs, generally, when I write the song, I'm singing it to a person. So it's like it's not necessarily a specific person, but sometimes it is. But it's to a single person. I'm writing the song as if there's a person there, and I'm singing it in the studio as if there's a person there, and I mix it so that when you hear it, you'll feel like it's singing to you only. And I write the songs like that. I write the song for a person. It's not written for the public. You know, it's not like written for all people. Some of my songs are written for all people, but like usually it's written for a person. And like I think that wait, where was I going with that? And I think that in those and in that I'm usually trying to show something like support, or something like something like supportiveness for the person. Mm-hmm. And so I think that most of my songs are songs where I'm trying to give you something like a hug in music, and trying to talk about something that's like maybe like deep or difficult in the lyrics. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, and also but also you have to write elegant lyrics that work well in a pop song. This isn't like, we're not like, I'm writing poetry, but part of the format of the poetry is that it's in a pop song that is meant to be consumed universally. Like, a pop song is its own format. Like, this genre goes back like 100 years to like, you know, of writing pop songs. And so when you write a pop song, you can be the artist that is writing very expressive and weird lyrics like Jeff, or the Flaming Lips, or something like that. Right, that's one way to do that, and I really love that. Mm-hmm. For me, when I'm writing the pop song, though, I want to speak sincerely, and so and that's different from writing weird lyrics, mm-hmm. right? Like, writing weird lyrics is the opposite of sincere. It's not sincere. It's pretentious on purpose, and I think pretentious is a good word. So like it's you're pretending.
Well, pretentiousness, if you're full of yourself, is bad.
Yeah, and I don't think it's that. Okay, so yeah. When I say pretentious, I mean something more like playing pretend.
Mm-hmm. No, I get what you mean.
You know, and so like I think that and I do like to write abstract, surreal lyrics. I do like to write them, but I tend to like to wrap them up into a song that is saying something personal. And so I think that writing lyrics is it's a personal art form for everybody. And for me, I'm also respecting the fact that I'm writing pop songs around these lyrics. And so there has to be some sense of catchiness, refrain. But I listen to lots of bands like Of Montreal and bands where the lyrics are very quirky and don't necessarily, and the songs are really catchy, and yet the lyrics don't necessarily respect a traditional lyrical structure. So it's like
Of Montreal is a really interesting example because a lot of Kevin's stuff is very poppy, but the lyrics
super
are
poppy.
Very. How do I even explain their lyrics?
It's like super esoteric. It's just like super esoteric, and yet it's really catchy. He's really talented at that. He's one of the rare people ever to be able to be really talented at making something that's incredibly catchy. And also, if you listen to it, you're like, wait, what is even going on there? I don't even know what I'm listening to.
Yeah, because with this, like, comparing Of Montreal in Kevin's lyrics to like Jeff's lyrics is like, because on one hand they're both very like
they're poetic.
They're very, because especially like one that I pull up often if I'm recommending people Neutral Milk Hotel songs is, I always tell people, if you're going to listen to a Neutral Milk Hotel song for the first time, listen to Communist Daughter. But the lyrics to Communist Daughter are insane. Like, because like I'll listen to it, I'm getting really within the flow of it because it's a very like somehow, because it's the most simple Neutral Milk song to play on guitar, but it's also probably one of the most complex songs on the album in terms of production.
Yes, I agree. It was very tamped down and consistent throughout.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a reason it's never been performed live. And I'm listening to it, but I'm going back and listening to the lyrics, and I'm like, hold on a second. Like I remember I was scrolling through, I think Reddit once, which is I don't like saying that I was scrolling through Reddit because that puts a look on me. But I was scrolling through Reddit.
I'm too old to know what the look is, so it's okay. You can tell me. Reddit has happened like off of my watch.
Yeah, like somebody's basically just posted like, what the fuck is Communist Daughter about? Because like just the opening line is insane. Sweet communist, the communist daughter standing on the seaweed water, semen stains the mountaintops. And it's like, Jesus, what is this dude talking about? And I get the same feeling from Of Montreal, but in a completely different way, because the arrangements are completely different.
Yeah, but it is the same sort of sense of like a lyrical surrealism. I will say with that writing non-straightforward lyrics is also itself an art form that like has lots of different aspects, because you can write weird lyrics that are like quirky, they're funny, like maybe like they might be giants, write very thoughtful lyrics, but they lean a little bit like clever and witty, and in that they're really charming and really personal. So so their songs, they could be writing the birdhouse in your soul or something like that. It's like it's a really clever lyric that seems like it's really like not really about anything, and yet at the same time it's like an incredibly moving song that like makes me cry when I listen to it because it's so sweet, and like the lyric fairly feels like it's like saying something. So like there's an art form to writing lyrics that has to do with being able to package an emotion in words, and those words don't have to say the emotion. Often they don't. And that's kind of like what I'm saying about writing a happy song that has a sad lyric, is that the emotion that you're expressing to the listener is something comforting and happy, and yet the thing you're trying to express as a person is your own experience, your own experience, and that might be an experience of suffering. And so you're transmitting that to somebody else without burdening them with it. And if they have the same experience as you, then they can use your song to help them lift out of it, maybe.
Yeah, well, like even suffering isn't just completely black and white, because I feel like there's an inherent melancholy and a little bit of sadness in everything. So like,
yes, you're right about that. You're right.
It's even if it's a happy arrangement with sad lyrics, I mean, those emotions can go hand in hand. I mean, I know very few people that are experiencing one emotion at a time. So
that's right. It's a more complete thing when you do that. It's like, yeah, you can just put on dark music and just listen to it, and it's dark, and that's fine. Sometimes you really want that. Sometimes maybe it's just good to put on some angry music or whatever, and it's just angry from beginning to end, and the lyrics are angry too or whatever, fine. But you can get a full range of emotions from music also, and you can express all of those things at once, and that kind of gives that's a different kind of feeling. And that sense of melancholy that you described, to me, is it's like a precious feeling. It's precious when I perceive it in other people. It's something that I really honor in others, and like it's tender, and it's something that I try to preserve in my music. You know, it's something that I think that in my music in particular, in my songwriting, there's a bittersweet kind of sense of you know, it's not negativity. It's not negativity. It's simply it's the happiness of last summer. You know, not this summer. You know, the thing, and like that I think is something I feel. I've been aware of time passing my whole life. At the same time, I've got to tell you that it's always grown into something new and better, and it just keeps being new adventures, and the pile of tape decks keeps growing. So
I like that as a metaphor. The pile of tape.
So like, you know,
I'm gonna change my bio on Instagram from now on. Is just gonna be the pile of tape decks keeps growing.
Okay, I'll let you use it.
I enjoy that.
So I really, it means a lot to me the way that you've that you get those aspects of my music. I think that I do like for instance in my band Ulysses, I wrote more abstract lyrics, and in that band I was expressing a lot of anger and frustration and despair. And so it felt, and the music itself was somewhat frustrated, and so it felt right to me to put in the lyrics, to write more abstract lyrics instead of coming out and just saying it. I didn't want that situation to write something happy, sad. I just wanted to write something painful, but I didn't want to just come out, you know, I didn't want to just come out and say it, you know. So then, and in that situation, you reach for abstractions, and the choice of abstractions, like Communist's Daughter, the sequence of abstractions still speak emotions, even though the words don't make sense. But you know, like it's like reading James Joyce's Ulysses, which I've been trying to read since I was your age, BTW, and it's still on my bedside, and I've only gotten through like chapter 1. But it's like the flow of words feels like it means a lot. Yeah. And it triggers emotions in you artistically, like that art. You know.
You've got a very interesting catalog of projects to delve into, because like the thing with Elephant Six as a whole is that it is this massive tree of projects to go into, because like obviously there's the big three, but then there's just the side projects that go off through that, and exploring the contrast between the Apples in Stereo, Ulysses, and Marbles has been insane, because
I also have the American Revolution, and I'm in a band called Dolphin, and I'm in Obligatory Refractions with Sloane Simpson, and I have a bunch of I'm in a drone band called Dronologue, where we do guided meditation text adventures with drone music, and like so I've thank you for noticing that I have a range of different styles and projects.
Yeah,
I like to express myself in different ways, and in math, and in visual art, and in electronics, and in computer code now, and other things.
Well, it's like, because I wrote this here. One thing that this was, because I asked a few people that like don't have like contact with you, that are very familiar with Elephant Six, what questions they'd want me to ask you, and one that I had written down, but many people had already come to me about, was what was the pipeline from going musician to mathematician, and even watching the way that you blended it, because I know that you have a lot of interest in mathematical music theory, and because I've watched multiple of like the blends of how these have come together, because I was looking at your bell composition. I was looking into,
thank you for looking at that.
Of course. Looking into the bell composition.
Thank you. It really means a lot. It's very moving to me, Colton. Thank you. It's very moving to me that you've listened to this music of mine, and you've gone through and like picked out these different obscure things and stuff. That there's one person in the world, to know that there's one person in the world that has gone through and like listened to these things makes me feel very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
it means
it's
a lot
like,
to me.
And I did a big like delve in on the Teletron, because that was really interesting to me, because when I was first like figuring out like who you were past listening to the Apples, like the Teletron came up in a lot of ways. Because like I was watching a lot of the videos that you posted on the Apple's YouTube channel about it, and I was seeing the composition that Jeff did on the Teletron, and I was finding all the
amazing.
And I was like, oh my God, what's like even happening here? So like, what was that pipeline like for you? Because I remember watching the documentary a while back.
So I'll tell you this: I failed algebra when I was in high school.
We've talked.
So just to start, okay. So like, so it wasn't a natural pipeline, but I always liked math, even as a little kid. I always liked math, and it made sense to me. I liked music theory when I was a little kid in music class. I got it. I got the music theory, and like we used to have school music class. I don't know if you still do, but I really, I loved. That spoke naturally to me. The way the rhythm structures worked and stuff worked I can remember my teacher explaining polyrhythms when I was in like 3rd grade or 4th grade, and it like blew my mind. I got it though. I really got it. It felt really good to me. So like mathy kinds of things mixed with music have always felt good to me, even though I don't construct my songs that way. I still kind of like. I really get a high off of hearing a musical arrangement that locks together perfectly, like Brian Wilson's arrangements or like R&B arrangements, like I was talking about. Yeah. This sense of clockwork, of everything having its place and locking together like little teeth or like gears in a song, is very feels really good to me. Or like Baroque music, it's like okay. But I wasn't into math. And when I was in college, I dropped out of college to be a musician. In college, I was a music major and a philosophy major. And then I dropped the music major and I picked up I was interested in Chinese literature. So I started trying to learn Chinese, but I wasn't able to get enough classes of it. And but I mainly studied poetry. But the point is that I didn't study any science or math or anything like that. I took 0 math classes in college before I dropped out. And then I dropped out with my dad's blessing to be a musician. When I was so my path to getting into math was through music, and I got and I needed to fix my tape machine in my recording studio. It was through analog tape, and I had to learn just a little bit of math to do that. And it really blew my mind that when I realized that when I had to fix my tape machine, and when in learning how to fix my tape machine I realized I had to learn math.
Oh yeah.
It blew my mind. Like, it's like the whole universe just opened up for me, and in fact, I remember reading an equation, Ohm's law, in my recording studio, and I felt like light was shining down on my head from above, even though I was in my dingy recording studio there was no light, and at the moment that I realized that mathematics was responsible for music, and also for my recording studio and my friendships, my band, everything that I thought was cool. That mathematics was powering it. It really blew my mind, and so I started to kind of like just be into it on its own. But like when I was like in 6th grade, I got my first musical instrument, which was a synthesizer. My parents bought me a synthesizer, and they also bought me a dual cassette boombox. And I figured out that you could ping pong between the cassette decks in that and multi-track, and I used my synthesizer to make kind of like compositions. Being kind of like life hacking things and figuring out how to make them work has always been something that's been interesting to me. And I started recording and playing with synthesizers and composing music all in the same breath when I was a little kid, like all in the same action. I was like, it was all one big moment of invention for me, learning how to use the tape machine, figuring out that I could hack it. I had a synthesizer, I would start to compose. It was always wrapped up to me together, to record, to engineer, I guess, mess with electronics, and also to compose. These things have been part of one feeling for me, one instinct. I don't like writing. When I write a song, I also feel the whole arrangement and the recording the way that it will be, so like it's part of my thing, I think, to teach myself. I taught myself to put together a recording studio. I taught myself how to use one. I taught myself how to calibrate tape machines and use compressors and all of these things, and I think that I don't know why I have this tendency to take on such inconvenient things, because most people just let other people do most things and they'll just do their thing. But for some reason, I want to do all of the things. I have to write
kind of how I was,
and be a musician and play all of the instruments and sing, and also I want to engineer, and I want to record, and I want to fix the gear myself, and so on. And so and so the math was kind of like that. When I realized that was part of the studio, that I was already setting up and learning how to use and learning how to fix myself and learning the electronics, and now there was the mathematics there, it was natural that I would kind of pick that piece of it up also. So what I didn't realize was that was going to blow up into such a big piece for me. It
definitely did. Yeah,
it did. So I think that so it was something that I got into through music, and it was and through my 30s, my band was touring, and I was a dad. I am a dad, but I had a small child, and math, I kind of like fitted in the background as a hobby. I was obsessed with it. I was constantly reading about it and experimenting, trying to work out equations in my notebook. I didn't take any class. There wasn't YouTube then or anything like that. So I was just teaching myself on my own, by myself. And eventually, my wife Marcy recommended that I should take a college class in calculus, so I did. And the calculus professor pointed me to another professor that I should talk to because I was doing some original work, and all of this was off the track. in the math world, my music life was not there. Nobody knew about it. And that was kind of nice too, because in my music life, I had this whole big thing going on. And like this whole social circle and this whole social scene, and it had its ups and downs, and there's like trauma there, and like as well as good things, and like and like also there's like in a sense a lack of privacy, sometimes being like a public figure, being on tour and things like that. I don't mean that I needed privacy. I'm just saying that it's a different kind of a mode. For instance, I'm very disorganized, and everybody around me thinks I'm gonna wander off all the time, which I do. So like I won't be there in time for the show because I'm playing video games with some kid or something like that, which I do. And so like and so I always had to have somebody with me to watch me to make sure I wouldn't do that. And so like I didn't ever have this sense of just kind of like being just a dude, just a random dude out there. There's always somebody who's watched or controlled, or like not controlled, but I needed to be maintained to be able to be on tour. And so like I understand that because I'm disorganized. I understand, but math gave me a different life. It was a life where I was just a dude. Nobody, you know, I was just a dude, just curious young guy interested in math, and like and so I think that's real precious about it, because it's another life for me. That was kind of like very closely aligned to my being a dad, because my son loves math as well as music, and so Max growing up, this was something we always shared, and I love being a dad, and it was something that was just important. You know, I'm just saying like math became part of my life organically. And I started, like, for instance, when I would tutor at the elementary school when he was in kindergarten, and going through elementary school, I would be a weekly tutor for little kids, and like in math. And so this was before I was really seriously into math, but it kind of like it started to become part of my being a dad, and part of my life, and part of my activity. It became natural to move into it, and I started to take classes maybe when I was in my late 30s, when the Apples were touring for New Magnetic Wonder, around the time I invented the non-Pythagorean scale. And so I was just kind of like curious in it. But what happened was, when I invented the non-Pythagorean scale, this is the thing that your friends want to know, okay? This is where it went from being, this is how I got black holed into math from being a musician. Okay. Was that when I invented the non-Pythagorean scale, which I did just out of curiosity. But I guess it got a lot of, when New Magnetic Wonder came out, everybody assumed that was a hoax. Because back in the 70s, Steely Dan had popularly come up with a new musical scale. It turned out to be a hoax. Yeah. So like everybody, I think, assumed that I was doing that. They also assumed that with the Teletron, that it was a hoax. Yeah. It was like, it's not like it was super famous, but I think it was surprising that this band had a musical scale. Now I think it's less surprising. In your generation, and in the generation that's come since my generation, musicians are much more open to being home recording nerds and to doing super nerdy experimental stuff. Such that I don't believe in your generation like it would be quite so surprising for somebody to invent a new musical scale. I just think your friends would think it's kind of like, oh, Colton does that.
Well,
you know
like,
what I mean?
Just to put this into perspective, like, I don't mean this in like not like stroking your ego way, but you set that precedent. Because that didn't exist prior to.
Well, okay, I didn't think of it that way, and I'll accept your prop. I'll accept your prop for that. Okay, I'll accept your prop. Like, so if that's true, then that's great. But like, even so, okay, I'll accept the props for that. Thank you for saying that. Okay, so like I was invited to speak at a math conference in 2007. So while the Apples were on tour for New Magnetic Wonder, I got a call, and I had been invited to speak at the summer math conference called Math Fest. That's this big undergraduate summer math conference. It's the biggest math conference in the world for like undergraduate mathematics. And I was invited to come and to speak on my musical scale. I was really excited about it. I went to the conference, and it was the first time I ever met mathematicians besides the few teachers that I had had.
Yeah.
And I ended up meeting a mathematician named Andrew Granville, who's one of the greatest number theorists in history. He's an incredibly cool guy. And he's also kind of like a wild card. And he was really curious about this musician who had invented this musical scale. We were at a dinner together, and he was like, pull your seat up here. And he made me pull my seat up next to him at the head of the table. It was a dinner for him. And he explained to me that he was writing a play. And the play was actually a math paper that was secretly a math paper in play form. So he was experimenting with mixed media. And he was writing the play with his sister, who was a screenwriter, and is very complex. And he asked me if I would be interested to write the score for the play. And so I was like, yes. So I ended up writing a score based on prime numbers for this play. And the score is called Reverie in Prime Time Signatures. You can look it up. And like it's on. I think that on YouTube I put a video of it, a few videos of it being played. And we went and we performed it. There was a performance at the Institute for Advanced Study. The Institute for Advanced Study is in Princeton, and it's where Einstein lived, among other things. It's a really famous research institution, and they put on the play there. And I went and I played keyboard, and Heather McIntosh came and played cello. And then a mathematician named Alex Kantarovich played clarinet, and that was my score. It was for keyboard, cello, and clarinet. And so we performed this piece, and I met more mathematicians there. This is where I'm going with this. So still through music. So what happened was that I ended up meeting a bunch of mathematicians and and they pulled me into their community through the fact that I had invented this musical scale, and then I wrote the score for the play for the number theorist. In the meantime, I'm taking math classes and stuff on the side anyway, and everybody's encouraging me now in my other life, my math life, which is now picking up because of all of this stuff. Like, everybody's encouraging me that I should start to take classes and maybe I want to go to graduate school and these kinds of things. And so this is this whole other world that I've got going while the Apples are touring. These other people who know that I created a mathematical musical scale, but I'm not it's a different world. It's just I start to make friends and start to learn a lot and meet people and meet people who had these interesting ideas and were interested in my ideas, and I was taking more and more college classes, and then and then in 2010, after the Apples got done touring for Travelers in Space and Time, I realized I had accumulated enough college classes that I was 1 year away from being a math major and getting a degree. And so in 2011, I took the year off from touring, which is the first year in my whole life I had done that since I was in my early 20s. We toured all the time my whole life up until then. I took the year off from touring and I finished my undergraduate degree. And I spent that whole year just taking full-time school and being a dad. And it was a magical year, and then in 2012 I graduated from University of Kentucky, and I got my math degree. And so by that point I was deeply into math research also, and I had taken this pause from the band, and it was time to start to be what's next? Usually when you finish an album and you're touring and stuff and you're writing songs, and then you start the next album. This has been my whole life. Spent 2 years recording an album, then I tour for a year or so, and then I start recording the next album and so on, and I'm recording with my friends and stuff as well. For the first time I had stopped that cycle. And at the time that it was time to look forward to what we're going to do next, I decided that I was going to stop touring and I was going to go to graduate school. It was a really hardcore choice to make because I had a job as a musician that I loved. I don't think of it as a job, but I mean the world did. They thought of me doing that. That's me. That's my role. My bandmates, that was my role, and I had this whole big thing of being a producer and a musician, but I also had this really exciting path of math research that was starting to call to me. And it's I started to look into the future, and I was what am I going to do as a musician in the future that's going to be more than what I've done in the past? It's not I need to do more, but it's as a mathematician, I'm just at the start. I'm an undergraduate student, and I have a whole lifetime ahead of me. And and at the same time, if I continue longer from now, I will be older, and maybe I won't have that lifetime ahead of me. It felt really right to me when I was 40 years old, which I was at that year. It felt really right to me suddenly to have a new life. Just it's I'm halfway through my life. I'm still young. I've still got my brain's peaking. Why can't I just do a totally different thing that's totally different and just see how that goes?
Why not?
Now the precedent isn't very good for that. The precedent is Michael Jordan going into baseball. Michael Jordan was the world's greatest athlete in my generation, and but he was really good at baseball also. He was a basketball player, and so I'm sure you know who Michael Jordan is, but I'm just saying
of course,
the legend of him going to baseball was he was good at baseball. He was good at it, but he was the greatest basketball player ever. So it kind of felt why are you doing this other thing? I wasn't the greatest musician ever, so it's not like Michael Jordan, but I'm just saying that's the kind of precedent you're looking at of somebody making a big switch. So anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not I'm not in this for a career. I'm in it because I'm living a life. I've got a life to live from beginning to end, and I have to do I want to do as many cool things as I can. Mm-hmm. And so I made kind of what I would think of as a reasonably fast decision over the course of that, ending my college time, and in the wake of Travelers in Space and Time, that I decided that I was going to switch over to being a graduate student and a mathematician and take a new path. And I didn't expect that I was going to leave the old path behind as much as I did. But the weekend, but my friend Bill Doss passed away, and it really it shook me up, and it still has shaken me up. And like at that point, he was my first recording partner. We learned to 4-track together, and when he died, I guess that experience got wrapped up for me. It started with him and me recording, and it ended. I guess that's how I feel about it. I feel like I had this bubble that happened from age 15 to 42 or so. That was like this beautiful experience that like started, and that kind of like wrapped up. And I love recording and I love music, but like somehow the friendship aspect of it is such a big deal to me, and it's such a beautiful part of it for me, and it sort of stunned me or shocked me emotionally. So I'm still traumatized now, even like a decade later, and I think that I've been able to fall out of that to some extent in some ways by experimental music. Yeah. But I think that, and that's where I've been able to keep active throughout all of this time, because that feels very pure. But so in any event, and that made it feel hard for me to just want to go back. I felt like maybe like there is no, I'm not sure I don't know what back looks like now. And so I think that, and I know that's, and so in any event, like, and then at the same time, like I have like so much research and so many ideas, great friends, collaborators, my PhD advisor, Ken Ono, he himself was like his own Jeff Mangum or whatever.
I've researched a lot on him. He's a
he's incredible. And like the people I've met, George Andrews and Drew Sills, and like the most epic people that you could imagine, just as epic as musicians, but more private than that. Like in mathematics, this whole community of research and friendship that's very similar to Elephant Six, that exists in number theory, and that I get to be a part of as well. I get to be a part of like multiple really beautiful, creative, like deep creative communities. And it's really amazing. And being a mathematician is different from being a musician. It's a different thing because the public's not aware of what you do. They think you're a teacher, and but in fact you're a creative artist. And well, it depends on the mathematician, I suppose. Because I am a teacher. But I also taught my friends. I also taught my friends how to record when I was your age. I am a teacher. It's part of me. That's part of who I am. And so that's all I got. So that's why I made. So the switch happened because of my interest, and then there was a rapid period where I was suddenly sort of enthused or absorbed into mathematics by mathematicians. And during that period, my research started to take off on my own. And now the hard thing is this: the Apples were at our. If you want to look at us as having a career in the standard sense, we were at our peak, and we were really successful at the time that I dropped it. So like that part of it was like, I think that part of it was bad business planning. I have to say that other people shouldn't do the thing I did. Like, the thing I did was for me to do. It was for me to risk sacrificing. It was for me to try. It was for me to try these different things, right? Some of them work out, some of them don't. And you can look at that path, and you can pick some things that might work for you or some things that might not, right? But like making a huge leap like that, it's hard on your family. It's a very difficult thing. Mathematics is very difficult itself. To imagine I would go into mathematics and actually like come up with valuable research was very arrogant. I think that there was it was very risky, and dropping out of college to be an underground musician, and then blatantly trying not to make a career and not to make money, that also was very arrogant, and that also was very impractical. Like, these are the kinds of moves. It's like everybody can't do that kind of thing. Like, it's like and most of my friends who did that didn't always necessarily come out of it as unscathed. So like
I fully understand that.
Yeah, I would say that you could take it. Oh wait, say it again.
I said I understand that in a way because I've been on a really interesting journey in terms of that, because I in the process of writing our second album, it's that I sent myself into periods of complete self-isolation, which was not good for me. It was I'm very aware of that. It was not good for me, and I was kind of shutting everybody out. And at the same time, at the same time, it felt like my body was like breaking down physically. I was getting sick really easily, and I don't know why. But I was just, I was writing this entire record, and then in December, I wrote the final song. Well, not the final song. It's the last song that I've written recently, and it's called Shedding Season. And on January 10th, we had the first session for the album, where I was like, okay, we need to just go ahead and record Shedding Season. And I did that. And then on the Tascam, I pressed stop, rewind, play. And I listened fully through. And I'm like, I don't know if I can say anything else. Like, this was just it for me. And it's like, I'm getting to a point right now where people are really starting to listen, and people that I have looked up to for years are starting to listen. And I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know if I have anything else to say. And recently I've been... I understand that. I've been really drawn to doing something in, like, I've been really interested in philosophy and political science, and that has been something that's really called me, and I'm just like, fuck, I don't know if I have anything else to say. And I'm in this community of so many people that I've been so impressed with kind of myself, with people listening to it. And for years, I was just like, I have to stay niche. I have to make it to where I'm not making money off of this, or people aren't really listening to it. But like now I'm making a decent amount of money off of selling records and doing CDs and
I'm really
playing
happy
these
for that.
shows. And I'm just like, and I'm kind of worried that I don't have anything else to write. But like on the other hand,
I understand this. I understand what you're saying. And I can speak to this right now, okay?
Mhm.
You do have more to write. However, after writing a big project, there is a period of exhaustion, and it's just not even appropriate to try to write more. You can't constantly like crank stuff out. That's not healthy. You have to have it's like you have to sleep at night to be able to have energy the next day. It's definitely the case that that your creative cycle ebbs and flows. I met Brian Wilson when I was 23 while we were recording Funtrick Noisemaker. This is really incredible. I met him under really almost random circumstances. But I talked to him about Smile when I met him, and he told me, he said, it didn't all, he said, quote, "It didn't all come at once, It came in cycles. There were high points where it felt like there was a lot going on, and in between there were very low points where it felt like there was nothing happening." That's what Brian Wilson told me about the experience of writing and recording Smile. I always have taken it to heart my whole life that Brian Wilson told me that there are high points and then there are long periods in between where it feels like nothing's going on, and that's the creative process. And during those times, you practice, you learn a new instrument, you get into another subject, you play shows, you help somebody else record, you do other things, and you don't, and you just know that you don't even need to worry about it coming back, because during that period, it's not appropriate to try to write anymore. Just let it. That's the time that your mind is letting you get into other stuff, and you have to do that to be able to build new material for the next round.
Maybe the past year has.
Don't worry, is all I'm saying. Don't worry.
Yeah, maybe just the past year has been an interesting time for me creatively, I guess, because I maybe have just been writing more music than I have ever. Because
Good.
I started the Cellar Lantern hymns recently. I'd say I started in June of 2025,
Right.
and like. Even becoming intertwined with an Elephant Six happened by kind of pure accident, because like when I say pure, maybe accident, maybe it was just kind of sheer will, but I watched the documentary, and one of the first shots is just the outside shot of Will's house, and I'm like, hold on a second, I know that house.
That's the house you went and got water in.
Yes, well, it's not just that, because this happened after the fact, after I had met Kelly, and I was like, oh my God, I know that house. That's the blue house on Ree Street. So I was just, something just told me and my drummer were driving through Athens at this time. We had probably just came from Wuck Street or something. And I was just like, hey, can we make a stop? And he was like, sure. And I didn't know that anybody else still lived there. So I was like, I only kind of went to like pay my respects in a way. Because that was one that like, despite the fact that I didn't know him, that shattered me for a while. So
yeah, I know yes. Yes, exactly.
And I went up to the house, and then I saw the front porch glider, and Kelly has a vase of flowers there and a photo of him on the front porch glider, and I knocked on the door because something just told me to. And then I walked up, and the door opened behind me. And the first thought in my head wasn't like, oh my God, it was just fuck, because I didn't know anybody lived there. So I was like, this is gonna look really bad. So I turned around, and I looked so stupid because I was wearing this big, massive blue Yeezy jacket that was so puffy, and I looked like the Michelin Man. And I turned around and I was just like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't know anybody lived here. And I was just like, I know this used to be Will Hart's house. And she was just like, oh, I'm his wife. And I was just like, okay, in my head. And I started talking about, like, he really inspired me. She's like, it's really sweet of you. And then I started talking about my band a little bit. And then I was like, okay, I mean, nothing's going to come from it anyway. So I started talking about my band. And then when I went home, I opened Instagram and I went to my band's page to manage it or whatever. And I saw a notification and it said the Elephant 6 Recording Company has started following you. And I'm like, hold on.
Oh, so Kelly that's so nice.
I texted the account and I was like, hey, I'm sorry this is weird. Does Kelly Hart run this account? She's like, yeah. And
she's so sweet. That makes me so happy.
I met Dane at Joker, and then that's how I met Brian Poole through him, and I went to a show at Flickr that they were doing, and I talked with Brian for like 30 minutes about AI because I was like growing really like worried of like
next time we talk, we'll talk about that.
Yes, for sure.
And I'm working on that too.
Like growing
I have to go to supper in about 2 minutes.
Cool. Okay, there's 3 quick questions from fans that I think you're going to be able to answer.
Please ask them to me, and they don't. And I'm excited to get them.
Yes, they're very, very fast. Okay, number 1 from a fan. What's your favorite Elf Power song?
Spiral Stairs. I love that song. It's my favorite Elf Power song.
How was the sound collage in the beginning of Silvery Light of a Dream Part 1 made?
Oh my God. That is a really good question. Nobody ever asked me about that, and it's one of my greatest composition and production achievements. Nobody ever has asked me about that.
Okay.
So part 1, the sound collage, was its own piece, and if you listen to it, it tells a story. It tells a story of going to sleep and into a dream, and and the person runs and dives. They gallop and they dive off of a diving board and they go underwater and they go on a submarine journey, and they end up coming up at a beautiful churchyard where there are children playing by a pond. And so, like, if you listen to the story knowing that, it's very interesting. And I pieced it together from sound effects records. So since I've been young, I've collected sound effects records, old records with sound effects, on them, and I have tons of them. And I used that. I stitched it together from a large number of sound effects records. I wrote the piece. I planned it out what it should be like. Running turns to footsteps, turns to diving off diving board, and then I found the sound effects that would make that over time. Or maybe part of it was that I was looking over all of my old sound effects records and noting what sound effects I had available to me as well. So I dubbed them off of the vinyl onto my 8-track, and then I pieced them together that way on the 8-track, and then I mixed them into that piece, along with the song that went by. So if you listen to it, the piece starts off in the sound collage starts in one ear and goes into the next ear, into one channel, and then the song, the singing and the music happens entirely in the other channel. So it's possible for you to just listen to one speaker and to hear the sound collage part of it, so that you can hear the storyline that goes with that and not have to listen to the music part of it. So please tell your friend that, okay? That they should listen to, they listen to the one speaker. And it's like I said, that's probably it's one of my greatest production achievements. And I feel very happy that your friend asked me about it. And in all of these years, nobody has ever asked me about one of the greatest things that I've ever done. And even my friends who are all into sound collages and stuff, for some reason they never really noticed that one. Like they noticed the songwriting. The thing is that part 2, Silvery Light of a Dream Part 2, is so beautiful and emotional. I think it's probably like one of my best songs. That I think that but when you get to part 2, you forget about part 1. And so you're like, dang, this is heavy, and you forget about that whole sound collage that you just heard. So I think that's my answer. Thank you for asking.
Last big question that has been divisive between everybody. Do you think that the album In the Airplane Over the Sea is about Anne Frank?
Well, Jeff lived with me at that time and stuff. So I will tell you that he was reading the Diary of Anne Frank at that time, and he was really moved by it. And it definitely is inspired by the Diary of Anne Frank. It definitely is. It's like it's a very surreal album. So it's not really about a thing. Like, for instance, she was Jewish, and it starts off being about Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? So it's not. It's more, but that's evoking spiritualism or spirituality. And so I think that I think it's so the album is not. It's not that it's thematically about Anne Frank. It's not a concept album that's covering her story in a sense, like maybe James Joyce's Ulysses is talking about the Odyssey, but through the everyday life. His album isn't doing that. It's not that. It's that he was moved by and singing to her. Mm-hmm. You know, when he's the only girl I ever loved. You know, like that's like probably like in that moment he's singing to her. Like I think that some of the album is directly for her or inspired by her, and then the whole album's feel, story arc, and concept is tying together to express a story that is centered around his interest in her and his being very moved by her story, and by reading her book at that time. And he was reading it around the time that we recorded Avery Island.
Yeah, because I remember he said he got it at a bookshop in Ruston around '96. This is a personal permissive question for me. I'm working on a music video, and I was told to ask you, is it okay if I use the Elephant Six logo as a homage in certain parts?
Please do. You're welcome to use the Elephant Six logo.
Cool. It has been amazing talking to you.
Dude, Colton, it's great to talk to you, and let's talk again sometime, okay? Next time we'll talk about AI and stuff, because I want to, and also I want to hear more about you and about your musical endeavors.
Yes, there's a lot of ethics regarding AI stuff that I would love to talk about, and LLMs, and
I want to talk about it too. I'm very interested in it, and I'm trying to do good in the world.
Yes, and I definitely love that a lot. We'll do this again soon. We'll talk.
Thank you. I loved talking to you. Thank you so much, dude. You're so awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. So I'll see you in Athens, and let's stay in touch, okay?
All right, bet. All right, we'll talk soon.
Please share your music with me, and know that I'm here to support you if you ever need somebody, okay?
I will. I'm actually going to send you some stuff here in a second, and I'm sure you'll see that after you're done with supper.
Thank you. Peace out, my dude.
All right.
See you, Colton. Bye.
See you.
Thank you. Bye.
And the world